The Department of Justice and FBI have just announced what they call the largest international operation against fentanyl and opioid trafficking on the dark net.
Down in the Mississippi Delta, 20 people indicted in an alleged conspiracy ring, including 2 sheriffs, several police officers, and a former state trooper.
Imagine a $12 million mansion where the walls don't just have ears. They have vacuum-sealed stacks of cash and the literal keys to the city's police evidence rooms. This wasn't just a drug bust. It was the moment the FBI realized that in Miami, the people paid to catch the cartel were actually the ones on the cartel's monthly payroll. 5:47 a.m., Coral Gables, Florida. The air is thick, humid, and deathly quiet. DEA Special Agent Victor Reyes is pressed against the cold stone exterior of a $12 million mansion, his finger hovering over the trigger. This was supposed to be a routine, high-stakes raid. Intelligence suggested that Carlos El Trey Mendoza, a high-ranking member of the ruthless Jalisco New Generation Cartel, or CJNG, was using this massive estate as a primary stash house. Reyes and his team expected the usual: kilos of powder, stacks of hundreds, maybe some heavy weaponry. Just another Tuesday in South Florida's eternal drug war. But when the door blew open and the flashbangs cleared, they stepped into a crime scene that would ultimately dismantle the very foundation of Florida law enforcement. Yes, the drugs were there. We're talking 2.4 tons of cocaine and 680 kilograms of fentanyl, enough to kill a significant portion of the eastern seaboard, hidden throughout the 12,000 square foot property.
Fentanyl is a potent drug that can kill with even the smallest of doses. But what is it? How is it made? And what is being done to track the people smuggling fentanyl into the area?
And yes, there was cash. $87 million in cold, hard currency, vacuum-sealed inside the literal walls of the house. But it was what they found in Mendoza's private office, hidden behind a false bookshelf, that turned this from a drug bust into a national emergency. Behind that wood paneling sat a room that looked less like a cartel den and more like a high-tech police command center. We're talking police evidence room keys, Miami-Dade uniforms, and badges from the sheriff's office. Before we dive into the $115 million ledger that ended the careers of 18 officers, do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We cover the stories that the people in power tried to bury, and you won't want to miss our next deep dive into the underworld. The mansion at 847 Coral Way was the epitome of cartel chic. Gated entrance, 360-degree surveillance, and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the serene Biscayne Bay. It was wealth built on misery. The DEA had been tracking Mendoza for 8 months, listening in on wiretaps as he coordinated the CJNG pipeline from Mexico through Miami and up to Orlando. When they finally hit the house, Mendoza didn't even have time to reach the loaded Glock on his nightstand. As the agents fanned out, the sheer volume of contraband was staggering. They found 400 kilos of coke in a luxury SUV in the garage, another 2 tons in the basement, and $23 million rubber banded in the kitchen pantry behind cans of soup. But Agent Reyes had a gut feeling. He noticed the interior measurements of the office didn't line up with the exterior of the house. There was about 15 feet of dead space. When he triggered the mechanism on the bookshelf, he found the heart of the conspiracy. Inside this secret room, 3 monitors showed live feeds, not of drug routes, but of the front doors of Miami-Dade Police Headquarters and the county sheriff's office. The cartel was literally watching the police in real time. Radio scanners were tuned to every encrypted police frequency in the county. But the holy grail was a leather-bound ledger sitting on the desk. The first page was chilling. It was labeled Nomina, monthly payroll. What followed were 3 years of meticulous records. At the top of the list, Sheriff Antonio Vargas, receiving $400,000 every single month. Below him were 17 other entries with badge numbers and names, with salaries ranging from $50,000 to $150,000. Total monthly bribes over $3.2 million. Over 3 years, the CJNG had spent a staggering $115 million just to keep the cops in their pocket. If you're finding this level of corruption as insane as I am, go ahead and like the video. It really helps us get these stories out to more people.
Morning. Today we are here in New York to announce a historic arrest across a wide-sweeping criminal enterprise.
More people. As the FBI moved in to take over the scene, the true horror of this betrayal began to surface. This wasn't just about looking the other way. This was active participation in murder. When the FBI cross-referenced the ledger with unsolved cases, they found entries marked "Witness Eliminated." It turned out that whenever a witness agreed to testify against the cartel, corrupt officers would access protected records, grab the witness's home address, and hand it directly to CJNG hitmen. 8 people, fathers, mothers, citizens trying to do the right thing, were executed within weeks of talking to the police. Their death warrants were signed by the very men wearing the badge. The corruption went even deeper. If a rival cartel tried to move into Miami, these corrupt officers would use their official power to arrest the competitors on real charges. But instead of taking them to jail, they'd deliver them to a CJNG safehouse for processing. The FBI knew they couldn't trust anyone in Florida. The entire investigation, known as Operation Blue Wall Down, was conducted by federal agents brought in from outside the state. They worked in total silence, petrified that a single leak would lead to a bloodbath. May 15th, 2025, 6 a.m. The Blue Wall didn't just crack, it imploded. FBI tactical teams hit 18 locations simultaneously. Sheriff Vargas was intercepted in his own driveway in Key Biscayne. In his garage, agents found another $2.3 million in cash, his retirement fund from the cartel. Across the county, it was pure chaos. One officer tried to hop a backyard fence and lead agents on a 3-block foot chase before being tackled. 2 others were caught frantically smashing encrypted phones and trying to flush documents. One officer even tried to take his own life by swallowing a handful of pills, but agents provided immediate medical aid. He would have to face a judge instead of an early exit. By 8 a.m., the leadership of Miami-Dade law enforcement was in handcuffs. The news hit the city like a physical blow. The Attorney General and the FBI Director held a press conference alongside Governor Ron DeSantis to announce the dismantling of the $1.4 billion CJNG pipeline. The charges were a grocery list of nightmares: narco-terrorism, conspiracy to distribute, witness tampering, kidnapping, and conspiracy to commit murder. By the time the trial rolled around in September 2025, 14 of the officers had already flipped. They knew the evidence was insurmountable. Prosecutors had 450 hours of wiretaps, the $115 million ledger, and body cam footage of the officers actually committing crimes while in uniform. The jury took only 6 hours to reach a verdict: guilty on all counts. In December, the sentences came down like a hammer. Sheriff Vargas received 8 consecutive life sentences plus 300 years. He was told, in no uncertain terms, that he would die in a federal cell. The other officers received sentences ranging from 65 years to life without parole. The fallout forced a total scorched earth policy for Miami law enforcement. New rules were implemented: mandatory financial disclosures, random integrity tests, essentially FBI stings on their own officers, and permanent federal oversight. But for the families of the 8 murdered witnesses, justice felt like a hollow word. They had trusted the system, and the system had sold their lives for a few stacks of blood-stained cash. Even the president weighed in on the scandal, noting that these officers didn't just look the other way, they actively helped poison American communities. What's truly wild is that this entire house of cards fell because of one hidden room and a cartel leader who was a little too organized for his own good. Or if Carlos Mendoza hadn't kept such a detailed ledger of his bribes, many of these officers might still be wearing a badge today. It's a sobering reminder that while the vast majority of law enforcement officers serve with honor and risk their lives every day, the damage done by a few bad apples can be systemic and deadly. If you think stories like this need to be told, to keep the light shining on the dark corners of our justice system, hit that like button one more time. It's the best way to support independent investigative storytelling. And I want to hear from you. Do you think life in prison is enough for a sheriff who sells out his witnesses to a cartel? Or should the punishment be even steeper? Let us know in the comments below. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and remember, the truth always has a way of coming out, even if it's hidden behind a bookshelf in a $12 million mansion. The badge is a symbol of trust, but for 18 men in Miami, it was just a price tag. Thanks for watching Busted. Don't forget to subscribe for more true crime breakdowns.